I wonder at times what would it be like to be Jimmy Olsen? Who knows who Jimmy Olsen is? I see some hands in the back. Who is he? Right. He's a great reporter. He's the guy who helps out Clark Kent, Superman, who's running around and seeing all these really weird things happening like you would in a comic book. And his dorky buddy with the glasses keeps disappearing anytime something happens. But every time he runs away, Superman appears. And everything is fixed. What would it be like to be that close to someone so powerful and not know? How much fear would he be in? Standing alongside Clark Kent, not knowing how safe he actually was. And when he does find out, how will that change things for him? Kind of a bit too brave at times? After all, Superman's my best friend. I can get through this. To get rid of fear. Today in our readings, the disciples who are not always the sharpest knives in the drawer, who don't understand a simple disguise like a pair of glasses, are confronted with the reality of who God is in such a clear way, aren't they? Who else gets to meet with Moses and Elijah on the mountaintop and shine brightly, be declared God's Son, and say to listen to him? Not too many people. And so they are overcome with fear. Because what do you do in that moment when you're face to face with God? And what does Christ tell them? Not stay down there in your misery, not keep being afraid, but get up and do not be afraid. Which is a phrase that we hear over and over and over again in the Scriptures. Every time an angel comes, it's always, don't be afraid. And they stand up and they see their friend and master again. They've had this experience of meeting the one true God, and now they can walk forward free from fear. Now they did have an initial idea, which was that we're going to stay up here on the mountain, right? We'll build 3 little dwellings for you and Moses and Elijah. I don't know where the disciples are going to stay at. But we've got Moses, Elijah, and Jesus got their own place. We'll stay up here on the mountain. It'll be wonderful. But that's not what they're called to do, is it? They're not called to just stay up there away from everybody else. And instead, right after this, they're called to go back down the mountain into society. Back down that mountain where they are greeted with a son who is possessed by a demon. They are greeted not with celebration, not with ease, but an instant call to action, which Christ does do. And there is healing and there is hope again, because they come down off that mountain. See, we are called to do that as well. We are called to act without fear, to not hide ourselves away, but instead to go out and to do. We are called to be risk takers. It would be very easy to stay on that mountain, right, and just chill up there with the three of them, just tell stories. But they're called to come down, and we are called to take risks as well. Now, how many of you would name yourself as a risk taker? Who here just loves risk 24/7? I see one hand in the very back. And yes, and the 2-year-old little girl who knows no fear all too well. But if you look at our lives together, we are risk takers united as one people. For instance, in just 2 weeks, right, we're going to house 30-some people here in our building. Not every congregation will be brave enough to do that. We don't know them. We don't know what's going to happen. What could possibly happen? We're going to just not do that. But for how many years we have continued to welcome people into our doors. Continue to say, this is your home, if even for a week. Here you are loved and you are adored. There is a certain amount of risk to that, isn't there? But yet we're able to do it, free from fear, because we are led by our God to do so. This week we start something new, don't we? This week we had the beginning of the after-school program where we're inviting teenagers into our church to come and to learn and to grow. It's a risk to try new things. We could fall flat on our faces this week. And if we do, that's okay. Because God calls for us to take risks. To take the chances to go out and to meet this world where it needs us to be the most. It was a risk to start a tutoring program. What if we couldn't do it well enough? What if we couldn't find enough volunteers? What if there's not enough kids that actually want to do this? And we do it, and it flourishes and it grows. We would take a risk to step forward and say, we are here for you. It can even be a risk at times to be a worship assistant. No? Can I have in your head at times, well, what if I mess up one day? What if I fall down? What if I forget my words, right in front of my face? What if I forget to get something? Well, guess what? We all forget something. And if you watch me close enough, you'll probably find me make a mistake every single Sunday. And it's okay. Because we also know that as a people, we rally around each other. When we fall down and make a mistake, we don't have to worry about what's going to be said about us. Do we have to be embarrassed or not? But instead, we know that we are loved. That we love taking risks as a people together. Even when we as individuals at times can be afraid, we know there is nothing to be afraid of when we take risks together. When we have our loving God who leads us, who calls us forward in light and in grace and in hope. And as opposed to the disciples who are told, hey guys, just be quiet about what you've seen. Don't tell anyone until I'm back again. Well, guess what? He's already come back again, right? We're celebrating Easter here in a few months. Not because it's the first time it happened, because Christ already has come back. And so we are free as well to take the risk of telling people all about who God is. About this life, this purpose, this hope that we are given, this mercy that we receive. We are a people of risk. A people who keep opening our doors and our arms wider and wider and wider. A people who have been told, get up and do not be afraid. For indeed there is nothing to fear when God is right there beside us. So may we continue in this life. May we continue to find risks and rejoice in them. To see the opportunities that lie before us that God brings on our path. May we rejoice that we take none of them alone, but united as one body and united with Christ, there is nothing to fear. Amen.